My name is Simone. For those of you who don't know me, I am the program chair and core faculty for the business and leadership programs. And I got invited to join into this conversation by the committee that is working on our core values. And the committee consists of Lita, and Lisa and Elizabeth. And I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to join the conversation because it's really been fun and interesting and opened some curiosity and getting to hear from our students, our faculty about this topic in the community to me is really fun and exciting. So as we celebrate Sophia's 50th anniversary in this deep dive we're doing into all of our core values, academic excellence came up. And we as a committee kind of set out to ask, what does that mean? What does academic excellence mean in the context of Sophia and to each of us as a community member? And so as we talked about like how do we figure this out? How do we ask? How do we get that information? We started with the survey with the students, and we sent out the survey, and students from every program across the entire university, including our global students, and gave us responses. And so it was a wonderful opportunity to get to see uh, a full perspective on what the students think. And through that, we created a word cloud. And that word cloud, as we reviewed all of the answers and the questions that were being asked, came up looking like this. And some of the words that came up for us as we were, reviewing the questions and reviewing the comments were things like curiosity, which we all felt was really important to achieving academic excellence, and collaboration, and that could mean working faculty with student or staff with student, or different relationships that happen in an academic environment to achieve excellence, depth and experiential learning and ethical and integrity. Those are all words that came up several times. Scholarly, uh, the practice of learning was important to a lot of our respondents, and passion was came up a lot as well. The passion for learning and critical thinking and the discipline that's involved. Creativity came up. Kind, supportive faculty came up several times with our students. Our accreditation and our reputation came up in the survey results and the questions. Rigor was another big word that we spotted in the results. And then others talked about, having student resources, being employment ready, uh, research, and growth opportunities, including learning about transpersonal and what resilience and the impact of transpersonal has. So the variety and the depth and the beauty of the responses really helped us to understand that academic excellence doesn't mean just one thing. It has a variety of meanings to a variety of people within our community. And so we talked about how could we, bring this together. And one of the things that we felt was important was to bring a panel together to ask questions of within the community from our leadership team so that we could all kind of come together about our shared values and our culture around this topic of academic excellence. And um, I don't know the answer to that, Deanne, exactly. Um, we went through a lot of them, so it wasn't just a few kind of thing. It took us a good solid hour to go through all the responses. And again, it was from all over the university, which was all the students and all the programs, which was really fun. So as we talked about who would we want to ask questions of and who would we want to have on this panel, we collected the names and then we invited them to join us, and they're all here. We're grateful for that. So in a minute, I'm going to have them introduce themselves, and I'm going to ask them to give their name, their title, their expertise, and what does academic excellence mean to them. After we do that, we're going to then ask a question of each of the panelist members directly. And once we have exhausted those questions, we're going to open it up to the floor and have everybody ask questions of the panelists. So I want to stop here for a moment and just thank our marketing team because they really helped us with getting the survey out and getting the word out about this conversation, and also our faculty for following up with um, the students and helping us get responses from our students. So thank you, Liz, for that number. That's the number of responses. So let's start with our provost. Uh, Dr. Kim, if you would introduce yourself and your title and what your expertise is in, and then what academic excellence means to you.
Okay. Hi, I'm Nami Kim. I'm the provost and vice president of academics and the accreditation liaison officer. So I guess my expertise, well, going back to my roots, I'm actually a clinical psychologist by training. And I spent quite a lot of time in that field before I came into academics in higher education. And I guess I've also picked up some expertise in higher education administration, I believe, and accreditation related things. So I guess I can say off the top of my head, what does academic excellence means? Now, I'll try to keep it short, but coincidentally, we're going through a new planning process for the academic master plan. In the process, we have distilled down some pillars, and one of which is academic excellence. And it is a very good question. What is the definition of academic excellence? And the committee right now is mulling through it. But here's what I have in my head. It's just things that I've been thinking about recently, not just with the committee, the planning committee, but just overall, and about Sophia's academic direction. To me, I think academic excellence is both sort of external and internal. It's about being relevant and providing on-demand education that is meets the needs of the students and meeting where the students are, where they are. You know, higher ed used to be, we have all the programs and people come and they just take whatever and they take what's actually available. But, you know, we have to really be thinking about it in a different way. We have to reach the students. We have to find things that are relevant to the students and meeting them where they are. And for them, and for the students, you know, we have to make them student-centered. We have to have humility and self-reflection to make sure that the programs have quality and rigor to meet the demands of those students. And for those students to really meet the challenges of the world. The world is a challenging place, and we want them to be good stewards, good citizens, and not just thought leaders, but actually taking action into making a difference in the world in the way that in which they choose to do so. So that's my quick definition of academic excellence.
So clearly, we're having a timely conversation here,
Yes, I
not
will
just
set
in the
the
planning,
example.
yeah, but also in the in for the community itself. Thank you.
Yep. Mhm.
So Anne, you're up next. So name, title,
All
expertise, and
right.
what academic excellence means to you.
Okay. So my name is Ann Sue. My background is also in clinical psychology. I'm a clinical psychologist in private practice before coming into higher ed, and I guess along the way I picked up um, chairing dissertation committee work as one of my skill sets, and what is academic excellence? Um, I think I thought about it. It's a great question for one. And then I had to kind of combine a little bit about my own personal orientation and also obviously sitting as a chair over the transpersonal studies, what that means too. I think being creative and involving a reflexive process and seeing it as a reflexive pursuit is very, very vital to me. So it has to be both like evidence-based, but also open, very, very open to critique. Um, so I think what I hope to see is that we become more attuned to the process of these academic pursuits, but also hopefully involving being more attuned to the deeper dimensions of our human experiences, so that we can contribute meaningfully to the field, um, and not lose touch with this world, and with the communities, what this world actually needs. So I know we'll discuss other things later, but I think compassion is a big element in here as well. So thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Love that. All right, Dr. Chess or Mary Kay.
Thanks, Simone. What a great question. So my name is Mary Kay Chess, often called MK, and I respond to that very quickly. I have the privilege of serving as the Dean of Global Leadership and Business, and I love the questions that your really engaged committee came up with, Simone and others. Um, as I thought about academic excellence, let me just tell you what my passion is. I go back to my MSW roots. And I was not a clinician, but I was a policy wonk in DC, and I love going upstream, finding root causes and helping to create streams that go in different directions from a policy perspective. And then in my dissertation work, I wanted to go to a school because healthcare was so broken, and that's where I served as an executive. I wanted to be in a dissertation program where there were no healthcare people. I wanted only very diverse colleagues. And so I ended up at a school we know, CIIS. So I have my PhD in transformational learning and change. Served me very well and still continues to intrigue me. And I was delighted to see learning as a lifelong learner in the one of the Wordle highlights. Academic excellence to me is Steve. And let me just tell you a quick story. When I had the privilege of being the dean of the first sustainable business school in the United States, we were always on the hunt for students, of course, because that's what keeps the school going. I learned one very eventful Friday afternoon at 5:30 p.m. I remember it was late on a Friday. I wanted to be home. I wanted to catch the ferry, and I couldn't because I had an interview with Steve. Steve came in and he was from the other party. It was the other party that didn't necessarily support the things that this school was known for, like sustainability and the fact that we have a climate issue and there's plastic in the water. He sat down across from me as an electrical engineer working on HVAC systems for hospitals across the world. And he said, "You need me in your program. You need me desperately in your program. I know I'm older." He was, in fact, the oldest. He was a single dad with a 7-year-old son. He had a full-time demanding job. And what was the key factor in accepting him into the program? And we spent 2 years trying to convert each other on the political parties, and neither one of us succeeded, by the way. But what really stuck out for me for academic excellence was his relentless yearning to make a difference in our world. And so for me, academic excellence starts with the recruitment process and how can we really see the fire or the ember in someone who wants to make a difference, and we're there to support that passion, that yearning, and it may not be defined, but it's there and we can see it. So to me, academic excellence is Steve and And for me, it's although we have to measure, we have to have objectives, they have to be, they have to make a difference, but it's that passion, and can we hold it as faculty? Can we grow it as faculty? Can we support the change that they want to make in the world?
Nice. Thank you. All right, Joanna.
Hi, everybody. I'm Donna Dulo. I am the chair of the computer science program. Professionally, I'm a lawyer and a computer scientist. And I spent 38 years in the military doing aviation, software engineering, and aviation law. As far as academic excellence, it's in my opinion, you have to have a balance between your theoretical aspects and your practical aspects, your innovation and your transformation. You can't go heavily in either one, otherwise your program is going to be imbalanced. So you do have to have your theoretical foundation, but you also have up-to-date, practical, applicable knowledge in your program. And in order to use that knowledge, you have to instill innovation in your students, because you can invent things all day, but until you get that product out in the world to make a transformation, it's just an innovation that's going to sit on the shelf. So in my opinion, it is these four aspects: theory, application, innovation, and ultimately transformation of that theory and application.
Nice. I
Thanks.
like it. I like the balance picture that I have in my head now. Thank you for that. All right, so next up, we're going to go to Adrian.
Hi, everyone. It's lovely to see you all and to see some of you for the second or third time this week. What a delight. What a joy. Yeah, I work as core faculty in the MACP program. I'm also co-chair of the Equity, Inclusion, Diversity, and Accessibility Committee, which I guess is some area of some I don't like the word expertise here, but long time learning. So in terms of academic excellence, I feel like I'm hearing so many threads in what people are saying that feel resonant with my thoughts. And coming in, I was sort of thinking about three particular words. One, accessibility; two, integrity; and three, relevance, which kind of speaks to this practice piece. Thinking about the difference between integrity and gatekeeping, for example. I don't think of myself as an academic really, because I'm so in the practice of all of the knowledge that I've been gifted. And so when we think about integrity as being in alignment with some sense of what is true, what is sort of honorable in terms of honoring where knowledge comes from, honoring the process of learning, honoring different kinds of learning, versus how it has been sometimes perceived in academia as a tool of keeping some people out of academic spaces, right? So to kind of bring that to life with an example, I remember being in a classroom where people were talking about sort of the unfairness of APA and like APA formatting as a way of forcing ideas to be presented in a particular way. But if we think about APA as a way of honoring where knowledge comes from, in the same way that we don't want to appropriate knowledge from different sources and cultures, then APA kind of makes sense. We're saying, okay, this doesn't come from nowhere. We're continuing a lineage and a legacy of education. So when we think about it that way, it becomes a different situation. And in describing it that way, we increase accessibility and kind of invite different voices into academic spaces where people have maybe not been before. And then in terms of relevance, knowledge it does feel like an incomplete process until there's some way of applying what we've learned in the world, whether that be through internal transformation or transformation in the world. Knowledge isn't meant to gather dust. So I think that's something that we live a lot here at Sophia, and I'm glad to be part of this community.
I love that. Knowledge is not meant to be dust. That's terrific. Thank you, Adrian. All right, Michelle.
Hello, thank you, Simone. Thank you, everyone. I too can really resonate with everything everyone is saying. So thank you. I'm honored to be part of this conversation. My name is Michelle Daly, and I am core faculty. I serve as core faculty with the MACP program. And I have a background that's quite mixed in environmental science and public and global health, human rights, art therapy and somatic therapy, grief, loss, and trauma. I am trained as an art therapist and clinical counselor and licensed as such. My clinical education and research interests include psychophysiology, mind, body, holistic health, and education, interoceptive awareness, psychological safety, and therapeutic presence. And I think all of this is relative to the conversation of academic excellence. So I love all these words. They're popping around in my head as I saw the word cloud, and now all the words, so many are bubbling up. I taught ethics in art therapy at one point, and the core was compassion, critical thinking, and humility as an ethical code. So I'm really hearing that in this conversation. And also the reflexive process. And this term practice-based evidence keeps coming up for me too. There's evidence-based practice and practice-based evidence. And I believe in the transpersonal world, we can hold both and find that balance and rhythm. And so I do believe that's part of academic excellence, is finding that rhythm, the inner rhythms, the external rhythms, the social interconnected rhythms. Thich Nhat Hanh has a phrase called interbeing. And I feel that at Sophia, we really hold these ethics and these values. And we'll get to that later, I think. In pondering this question, there's so much to say. And I think in terms of academic excellence and how I would define it at this moment, I consider it a whole person integrated systems approach of education that follows ethical standards of care with organized structure, innovative philosophy, and creative approaches to learning that support multisensory, multidimensional, and multimodal learning, while welcoming students as responsible participants actively engaged in transformative processes and practices that actualize their highest potential for personal and professional development. So, and this community can support that. And I just really appreciate this and look forward to hearing more from everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. I love that you brought up the students' participation in the process, because sometimes we think of it as separate and it's really interconnected in my mind. Okay, Saifeng, you're up next.
Thank you, Simone. Hi,
Thank
everybody.
you for being here.
My name is Saifeng Zhu. Currently, I serve as the chair of the Transpersonal Psychology in Chinese, known as PhD-C. I'm also a core faculty. Well, as far as expertise is concerned, I guess, psychology. I got my, like Mary Kay, I got my PhD from CIIS. Mary Kay, we never talked about this. I got my PhD in East-West psychology at California Institute of Transpersonal Psychology. So I guess that is part of my expertise, if I may say so. Then I got my master's degree in the theological studies at Harvard Divinity School, where I majored in psychology and I majored in religion and minored in psychology. I made it myself. The official title is Master of Theological Studies in World Religions. I didn't go to become a pastor, nor did I go to become an abbot. Rather, I went back to Sofia University. So I guess religion and psychology, that's my expertise. And luckily, I'm not Sophia doing transpersonal psychology. Sounds like it's a good place for me because it's transpersonal psychology, as you all know, is about the spiritual dimension, transcendental dimension, as well as, of course, modern psychology. Well, as now to the question that what is academic excellence? I thought about it. I have a few words. The first is academic excellence means we or the students need to be thinking critically, to be able to think critically and creatively if possible. One of the first two courses that we offer at the PhDC program is critical thinking and scholarly writing. Together with the foundations of transpersonal psychology that I teach the foundations. Another professor teaches critical thinking and scholarly writing right at the first quarter of our program. It used to be later. It used to be offered later. Later on, I moved this course up to the front because it's, I think, very, very essential to train academics, to train scholars. I sometimes equate academics and scholarships, academic ability and scholarships. I sometimes use them interchangeably. So this is the first quality I see from my myopic eyes. I'm severely myopic, as you can see, very thick eyeglasses. The second keyword to me is ability to articulate. To be an academic or to be a scholar, I think we need, or students need to be, if we train them to be academics, if we want them to be academically excellent, I think they need to be not only to be critically thinking, but also to be able to articulate what they have experienced, what they have seen, what they have think. So articulation, whatever experiences, ideas, feelings, they need to be articulate to make it understood by others. In ways share in a manner that people can understand roughly. Well, is there any other specific standard? I think, to me, the third word is not only able to think critically and articulate, but also able to produce, to write papers. Of course, I don't think Sofia need to say either publish or perish as academic, but I do in my effort to recruit new faculty, either core faculty or adjunct faculty, I now always look for publications. If candidates send me the CV, I need to look through, of course, everything. And I'm sad to say most of the applicants that I received, the applications for a core faculty that I'm recruiting, because my program is expanding. We have now more than 100 doctoral students enrolled. The biggest program at Sofia, doctoral program. I need to look at that. But unfortunately, many of them don't have any publications. So I would say, unfortunately, I'm not going to hire you. Or if I hire you, can you promise to write one paper, journal, published in peer-reviewed journals within 1 year of your teaching this course? I have them agree orally, not in contract. And I talked to Nami as well, and she seems to be appreciating this. Now, somebody also mentions, I think Adrian mentions APA. As a psychology program training, if we want to be labeled as academically competent, probably we need to think about that as well. It's not a big deal, APA style, writing style, because when they write dissertations, write papers, they need to be able to, and at least to be able to familiarize themselves with these, tools. but it's not a big deal. Again, for me, APA familiarity. So if I summarize, now one somebody already mentioned this. I think Donna and Michelle. I don't want to bundle academics with integrity or ethics. I think they're different dimensions. I think ethics and integrity belongs to practice. It comes from practice rather than from academic or scholarly capabilities. Donna is right. I agree. We need to have as a university or as a program chair. I of course need to be aware of the balance, scholarship, integrity. But integrity to me comes more from practice, not from reading and writing and so academics mean to me means more of a intellectual training dimension. Integrity, ethics come from more practice, more come from practice. We like practice. I practice. I don't know how much I have made progress, but I keep practicing. Self-reflecting, meditation, the qualities of compassion, integrity, I think come more from practice rather than from academic training, period.
Thank you so much, Haifeng, for all that you're adding to the conversation. There's so many threads that we've all pulled on through the conversation, and everything from, what is qualified faculty, right, to support our students' learning and growth, and what programs are the right programs to have, and how is the rigor in the programs determined. All of those things that we've talked about so far can all be defined by the words academic excellence, right? So this topic of academic excellence, as we've gone through the conversation of creating the event, we've realized is much, much bigger than just one definition. So we're going to turn the conversation a little bit, because we want to look at academia, in a broader sense. And so I'm going to start with Nami and ask you, for our students in Sofia, what is the opportunity for them to achieve academic excellence?
A very good question. So one answer I have is to get the most out of a very unique school like Sofia University. I think many people come to Sofia because they understand there's a transpersonal, they come for transpersonal psychology. So they know what they're getting, but then actually it turns out that they can get to know even more. But there are many students who actually are enrolling into, the MBA program or the MSCS program without really thinking, perhaps it might be a means to an end. And then they realize, once they really pay attention to our curriculum and to our faculty, that there's so much more, that this is not just a means to an end, it's a journey. It is the process of learning that is so much deeper than just taking classes in business and, et cetera. It's just so much more than that. So I think for me, I feel like there are just so many opportunities to really engage with the curriculum that they're part of, but to also engage and interact with their peers and so many of the faculty here across the departments too. And I think cross-departmental kinds of relationships I think we need to grow that even more. I think it is happening already in some areas, especially at the doctoral level. But I think we have some opportunities here for students to really take advantage of the vast amount of knowledge here that we offer. We have amazing faculty, and there's a lot of opportunities for students here. So I'll highlight the faculty.
Which is a huge part of academic excellence, right?
Yes.
So Donna, I'm gonna give you a minute, and I'm gonna go to Kaifeng, and I'm gonna ask you, how does transpersonal psychology fit with business and computer science?
Well, cool question. We are actually already experimenting. I invited Mary Kay, Dr. Chess, to teach a course with me. She's the leader of a global leadership and business. And we taught a course called Transpersonal Leadership, which can be applied to business and to education and may also, I think, elsewhere. I'm glad that Sophia wants a transpersonal psychology to be applied to other programs like business. So to me, training of business leaders is first and foremost is the training of the person, of the mind and body and the heart of the business leader, from a psychological perspective, not to mention transpersonal. I would like to see this potential leader or thought leader or a practical leader of business. He or she is trained in some way, not only trained theoretically, but also trained experientially. Some dimensions of the transpersonal psychology, like as you mentioned, many of you mentioned compassion, care of others, and hopefully the higher realms of transpersonal attainment, like really the oneness with everything in the universe, even if momentarily, or the pure consciousness, if they really do some, work, either meditation or whatever, okay, mindfulness or whatever other way, they can really become very, very quiet. They can really still their mind by training. This can be trained. And it's, at a certain point, they are really open into everything without any discriminative thoughts, not to mean personal judgments. Then that is a basis. That is a basis for me to be transpersonal. And with that experience of being in the non-judgmental, non-discriminative state of mind, they can go from there to be really to the world, to lead, to be impartial and fair and creative. Out of this non-judgmental state, they can create myriad of things, myriad of thoughts can come up. But to me, as what I label myself as a advocate of scholar practitioner, as transpersonal psychologist, I think that is very fundamental. If they have our future business leaders or leaders of elsewhere in other disciplines have some kind of experience like this, you may call it spiritual experience, you may call it transcendental experience, or you may call it just anomalous experience, you name it. To me, this is very a very good breakthrough. To be a human, to deserve transpersonal practitioner. All right. Is this good enough, Shimon?
It is. Thank you. Thank you. I think it's wonderful. The idea of incorporating transpersonal into other disciplines, to me, is the opportunity Sophia has to do things better in the world, or make a difference in the world, as somebody put it earlier. Brandy, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand up earlier, so if it's been up a while, please forgive me. But did you have a question for?
Oh, no, it's not a question. Basically, I just want to echo what Nami just mentioned about, and also your question. You raised up a very good question. For example, how can we make our students academically excellent? So my point of view, just want to add 2 cents view. So Maybe we can do something, for example, like our library reference updates, because I noticed that if I go to our library reference, this database, somehow it's not most update, or it's kind of related by the area of that research. It's more of transpersonal leadership, could be, but for computer science, I'm not in that major, so I didn't know about that. But just from my own MBA and DBA experience, it's pretty hard to use. And even for the paper, I have to use the other database. So let's say if we talk about our Sofia University students, then they possibly do not have the tool to achieve academically excellence. So that's one of my point. The other thing for people who don't know more about me, it is because I'm from industry. I'm working in a medical company serving 2 million veterans. So my background is also in quantitative analysis and management, and I'm taking DBA course in our university as well. So um, that's why that's some user experience from my end as a student. The other thing regarding Typhon's request, for example, like a publication, etc. I'm on the same page, but possibly just because I'm an insider, I think of more of those resources allocation. So if students needs to publish some writings, publications, definitely need advisors to coach, to spend enough time. This is a big, I have to say, commitment. So it's easier we bring it up, but it's really hard to
Yeah, no,
have
you
this done.
you bring up some great points that even showed up in the responses, right? The resources to help students achieve their goals, right? So making sure that, our database of articles covers all of the programs in the university and things like that. But as we talk about faculty and all of the things that we as a university and community can support our students with, there's also the student engagement, right? And what can the students learn, to Nami's question and answer? Here, with the breadth and the depth of our programs, the opportunities there are for our students. So thank you for adding to the conversation. I'm going to jump to Mary Kay here and ask you, what can our students be working on? What like real world problems could they work on that are happening today for tomorrow?
What a great question, Simone. I think that's actually the sweet spot of Sophia. I think we're in such a unique position to prepare the very, very diverse leaders that are going to need to move us forward. I want to go back. I think that going back to something that Michelle said and Saifong said brings together and answers that question. I don't know. There's so many projects that students can work on. And we know in the DBA program, which is the program that I just happen to love, because it's students who are applying knowledge to real life challenges. And thank you, Brandy, for hanging in there with all you do and being a full-time student as well. The work they do in the world is complex. It requires critical thinking. And what we deliver here at Sophia, I think our greatest opportunity and challenge is to honor, support, and bring forward the whole person. I don't know who the American writer was who said, and he went to work with his head walking along beside him some distance away. I can't remember who the author was, but what we offer at Sophia is the whole person, head connected to heart, kindness leading, the values of compassion, and as you said, that accessibility to other disciplines. The opportunity to network that's coming up at graduation this year is just, it's a richness beyond measure, because if we encourage the students and the faculty to network with one another, and I know that's an often used word, but that's the kind of work that propels us forward into what we don't know is going to be needed as we watch systems and structures explode. They're going to need to be rebuilt. Who better to do it than whole people, scholarly, able to pull on research and at the same time be a whole person, mind connected, as I said, with heart, with body, with application. So I don't know if I've directly answered your question. I can go into some of the amazing projects that the DBA students are both entering and pivoting around, but I think it's the ability to dance with the ambiguity that we're facing. That's probably one of the greatest gifts we can get.
Beautiful. Because everything is changing, right? So there's lots of opportunity, lots of different ways our students can go to put their academics and their expertise to work to make that difference. Thank you, Mary Kay. So Adrian and Michelle, I'm going to ask you a question and you can answer it jointly. And that is, how do we meet the demand for critical thinking and mindfulness, communication, creativity, all of those words that, compassion, empathy, all of those transpersonal words we've been throwing around here through our academics to achieve academic excellence?
Sure, I'll start, Adrian. Thank you. I feel that through the use of lived experiences to support these transformative education and the integration of subject matter for sustained learning. So we need as we've been discussing, we need critical thinking, mindfulness, communication, creativity, and collaboration in all ways, right? So our community can collaborate. And as Saifang was saying, this oneness piece doesn't mean we disappear. We're differentiated beings. So the whole person, similarly, we have a head, we have a heart, we have a body, and we can learn in that multimodal way that integrates into a whole system. Similarly, with the critical thinking being the mind, and mindfulness maybe being from the heart. And how are the mind and heart communicating? What I didn't mention earlier is one of my passions is my work with the Heart Math Institute. Bless them for all they offer. And so I bring that in. I'm a trained practitioner and trainer. And so that really leads my heart to Sofia and all that we represent here. And the compassion and collaboration, all of it just, it blends together as differentiated skills, I believe. So I think core to the transpersonal learning that we offer in each program, there are these individuated skills that can then come together in a synthesized way to both support the whole person, yet, have this capacity for resilience and leadership and moving forward in ways that are adaptive and resilient in the world. Facing, kind of back to the last question too, that help us deal with these real world problems of increasing stress and crisis and conflict, whether it's internal or external, these inner and outer systems coming together and working in a flowing, fluid way. I believe we have so much to offer, and it's so hopeful. Thank you, Adrian.
Michelle, as you were speaking, and as others have been speaking, the words trauma informed have been coming to my mind. That Mary Kate, what you're saying, like we're living in a world where we're seeing trauma play out on massive scales. And so if we are wanting to have a academic community that is aimed towards creating positive change, we have to start within our classrooms, right? So academic excellence is hard to achieve when we see students who are coming in, and I see this all the time, particularly in in our program, in the new MCPC program, people coming in with great amounts of educational trauma and feeling like they have scraped by to get to this academic setting and are anticipating, who have no sense of their own gifts, but only see the challenges that they've seen reflected back to them in other academic settings. And so in order to expect students to excel academically, part of that has to be helping them see the pathways to their own gifts and bringing that into the world. So that comes through making resources available, that comes through potentially modeling, thinking about this whole person perspective. When I think about the word integrity, I'm actually thinking about integration, right? Like helping that integration so that people can be in a sense of academic integrity. So thinking not only about, that trauma-informed approach within our classrooms, but yeah, giving people the tools and resources to transform on a personal level in this Sophia community and then in the larger community.
Awesome. I like how you brought it back to the student too. And Michelle, your passion for teaching shines so brightly when you start talking about what it means to teach. And so thank you for that. Thank you for adding that.
Can I add one more piece? Is there
Sure. Yeah.
one moment, just based on what Adrian had shared too? I believe that we have an obligation to create an integrated system within ourselves, within our community, to provide psychological safety for learning, for clear-minded learning. So that will allow the critical thinking. So I think that's where the inner outer systems kind of come into interplay as well, in terms of creating an environment where, not that we're responsible for therapy, and there is a fine line, especially in our program, we talk about it all the time, right? Yet how can we do that as educators, and where are these boundaries? And that brings up more questions, I guess, but I just wanted to add that piece too.
Thank you. That adds another dimension, right? So as we talk about academic excellence and all the different layers and the different stakeholders, we would say in business, right? Like, it becomes obvious that achieving academic excellence is a team sport to me. It's everybody involved. The students, the faculty, the administration, the staff, everybody involved in this process. And so, Nami, I'm going to come back to you and I'm going to ask you, how do you see the future of higher education evolving?
It's a very good question, because this is the question that we ask ourselves all the time as we look at the landscape out there. We have, higher education is in a tough spot in many different ways. Even before this administration came in, we have just fierce competition, both domestically and also internationally. So I don't know what I think I go back to my original answer about academic excellence. It's a lot about meeting the students where they are, right? And I think I also think about the affordability issue of higher education, and again, meeting the students where they're at and making things more accessible, whether they are if there's more affordable options for our degrees or stackable credentials. Those are all the considerations that people have been talking about. I don't know how that works within the regulatory framework that we currently have, but it's absolutely something that we need to innovate further. Starting with short programs to stack and to, possibly, adding credits towards a degree that happens over a long period of time. This is not a new concept. Overseas in the UK, they already do these things. So these are some considerations over here as well.
So as you look out into the, higher ed landscape, as a provost in considering the words academic excellence, do you see an expansion sort of scenario, or do you see more of it coming inward?
I think it'll be different. So I don't know about expansion or contraction, I think, especially with, I don't think anybody said the word AI here just yet, but AI is out there, right? And we use it every day. We struggle with it every day. It's something that we also need to lean into cautiously. And it really does redefine, where, again, what is humanity, and what's the human role in the future of our society. and so I've, necessarily, I think our education has to evolve to meet that moment, to that I think that there is something really, you know, uniquely human, like human skills and human presence and engagement that AI, I don't think will be able to replace anytime soon, perhaps down the line. But right now, I think education has to then sort of, change. I think there are already many majors, I think at least at the undergraduate level, that's becoming more and more obsolete. So, we just have to pivot and really look to and innovate here. I think there are many opportunities for that. And I think Sophia has, in some ways, a leg up because I think we think about things more holistically. We think about things, for the connection of the heart and the soul. And I think that's another level of sort of engagement, human, between humans that I think AI is not able to really take over. So
Yeah, I think
hopefully,
that you're touching on one of the reasons why AI, terrifies me and excites me at the same time, right?
right,
Like, I don't
right,
think, there are things about AI that I see will directly impact everything, but
right,
there's things about our humanity that we can focus on if AI is doing all that busy work and gives
right,
us an opportunity to explore deeper heart, mind, body
right. I mean, I think about
experiences.
it as a clinician, I think that's where I always go to. And, as a clinical psychologist, where's my place now? Um, I think AI absolutely has its place. And, hopefully as an assistant, but it cannot replace me as a clinician.
Right.
So,
Or
yeah.
as a leader or as I don't,
Or as a
I think
leader,
there's
right,
many human positions that it's not going to be able to make
no,
decisions in that way, that humans make
right,
decisions. So
that's
maybe it's an
correct.
opportunity for us to redefine what academic excellence is. Um, at this point, we're just coming up on 5 o'clock and we have about 30 minutes. So I'd like to open up the conversation to everybody attending. And if there's a question you'd either like to ask directly to a panelist, please call them out. That's part of their agreement of being here. Mary Kay?
Thank you, Simone. Donna, I have a question for you. I don't know if any of you know this, but when Donna gives you a book to read, it is a gift. You usually have to stretch your mind and work hard. So, Donna, I'd like to know 2 of your recent books that you would recommend to this community that could be totally eclectic, of course. I'm
You know what's
looking
Another
for
really
a
question
gift.
for you.
it's really funny because I'm surrounded by about 5,000 books in this room right here.
Just
And
2.
I actually have a book here that I just finished. It's called Literary Theory for Robots. Let me see. I don't know whether my camera, oh, you can't really see it. Oh, here, if I put it on me, you can see it.
Yes.
Literary theory for
Literary Theory
robots.
for Robots.
Okay.
The author is Dennis Yi, last name Tennen, Tennen. How Computers Learned to Write. And this is a really good book because if you want a computer to write, you want it to write like a human, not to write like an automaton. I mean, we have authors that write like automatons too, but as far as a computer wanting to sound human, I mean, it goes all the way back to the Alan Turing test and stuff like that. But this is a really good book to see how artificial intelligence can actually be humanized and made into something that seems like it's human, that can actually take a topic and transform it. Let me see another book. Let me see real quick here. Oh, here it is. A book that I just
Thanks,
finished reading.
Chels.
The book is called Leadership is Worthless, but Leading
Ooh.
is Priceless.
Ooh.
I literally just got this weekend and I just finished it.
All right. That's next on my list too.
It's about leading because it's leaders who do the actions. It's leaders who are the ones that step up, not just the ones that are in leadership positions. And the best leaders you're going to find are people who are not in leadership positions. So I think this is a good book to read. It's written by a man named Tom, Thom Mayer, Mayer. He's a medical doctor. And it's basically, he says, what I learned from 9/11, the NFL, and Ukraine. Wow. So he was a doctor in New York City during 9/11. He was an official NFL doctor. And then he was recently over in Ukraine, saving the troops over there. So one is more AI, one is more leadership. And like I said, with balance, you know, any academic domain, you're always going to have leadership, you're always going to have psychology, you're always going to have technology. And it's how you balance everything out together is how you're going to be successful. And this is what we try to teach in the computer science program, where you have your innovation, you have your business application, and then you have your humanity, your humanistic aspects of what you're creating with computer science to make humanity better.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for adding to my book collection to read. I went through a bunch of them over vacation, so I got to build it back up again. But actually, while I have you here, Donna, can you talk about like the advent of what new technologies are going to do within the higher ed world?
Well, technology actually helps with the student, moving them kind of forward, but helping them, because the problem with academics is it's always changing. Any field of domain, especially computer science, changes every day. I mean, it's so hard to keep up with everything. And as Charles Darwin used to say in the survival of the fittest, the fittest is not the strongest, the fittest is not the fastest. The species that's the fittest is the one that's most adaptable to change. And we have to give our students the tools to allow them to adapt to change, because if you learn something, learning is not static. Learning is dynamic. That's why we call it lifelong learning. That's why doctors have medical practice. That's why lawyers have a legal practice, because you're constantly moving forward, learning new things. And I think if we emphasize with the students how they need to be able to adapt to change and how they can train themselves with theoretical foundations, and also applicable foundations, but we need to teach them how to move forward and to use what they have and to gain more and more knowledge in their career fields and not just stay static. Just like in the computer field, programming is going away. Coders, computer scientists are putting coders out of business because AI is so much better at coding. You just put in what you want. So the computer scientist of 1990 was coding. The computer scientist of today is doing advanced machine learning. So even in a domain, even in a narrow domain, you're constantly changing, you're constantly evolving. And that's what we need to emphasize with the students is adaptability to change in your domain and in the world in general.
Thank you. I think incorporating all of this new technology is important for the in the business world, for the employees of tomorrow. They're going to use it. They're using it today. I mean, we're starting to see the Mag 7, posting their jobs with the requirement of AI use.
Yeah.
Right? Have you used AI? Which ones have you used? How do you prompt? So it's becoming ingrained in the business employee-employer relationships. So
absolutely.
So much changing so fast. Thank you.
Very fast. Thank you.
All right. So I thought I saw somebody's hand go up. John?
Yes. Thank you. First of all, this is an amazing conversation. I'm loving all of it. I'm taking lots of notes, and thanks to all of you for your reflections. I just want to add a couple thoughts. first of all, as far as my background, as a lifelong learner, I went into education only because I couldn't decide what I wanted to major in. And I thought, oh, I'll always be learning. But I spent 25 years in public education as a teacher and a school administrator and program manager. And I do want to just talk about a little difference here, because we had an attitude. I mean, I sense this about academia, the ivory tower, they're up there sitting, contemplating their navel and having these great discussions. And we're down here working with the real people, and we're struggling every day, and we're hitting the hard knocks, and are they doing anything to help us? And it's very elitist. So Adrian, I wanted to, follow up. I think it can be very elitist, if we think of it. And if you go back to the word academia, it comes from the sacred olive grove of Academos outside of Athens, where Plato would bring men, together, those who had the leisure, to be able to do that, and talk and do the Socratic method and all those things they were doing. There certainly weren't women there, right? So it can be that, and I know that in education we really had that. But for me, what I love about Sofia is that we have this balance. It's not just the pursuit of that very specialized knowledge. It seemed very specialized, like, what are they doing up there? But as opposed to addressing the whole person, it's not elitist, and that's what I think we do so well. And Nami, I agree. I think that's where we might really shine, because rather than the pursuit of knowledge, I would see it as the pursuit of wisdom. Wisdom in the sense of the whole person, and not just about learning, but the process of learning. Really understanding that's where we get our accessibility, our accommodations. We're more and more looking at just how people learn. And I think that's a part of academic excellence, is being really tuned into that. And those of you who know me know that's what I love doing. So anyway, I could go on and on, but I just wanted to say I'm loving this conversation, and thanks to all of you.
Thank you for adding to the conversation. You bring up the joy of learning, right? And that's really why we're all here. Most of us, I think, are here because we love learning, and lifelong learning is a part of who we are. Deanne?
Was that a Neil?
No, Deanne.
Sorry.
John got me thinking about my background, as I came to education via the military, and there was this concept of training versus education, and we've talked about it in the words practice. What's the practice? What's the application? And that from my military mindset, education was this above theoretic, but how can you use it? And so I just wanted to echo that conversation about the balance between practice and theory, and how it's not one or the other. It's that seesaw, that perfect balance point of how does it meet the real world in this time, in this day, in this moment. And I'm loving the conversation. Thank you so much for everyone joining.
Yes, absolutely. Neil, did you want to comment? Thank you.
I thought I'm a little deaf. I thought you may have mentioned my name, but I'm pleased to be here and be a good listener at this point. Thank you.
You're welcome. There's another skill, right, that we teach, at least I'm sure in other programs, the listening. Like, do we really listen to each other when we have a conversation, and how does that affect us? So, Hong, can you come on camera and ask your question?
Yeah, hello everyone.
Hi.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, that's a fascinating discussion. I'm so glad to be here, and I'm the student to PhD-C, which is a bilingual program, and I'm studying now in Professor Taifun's class as well. My background is about I'm doing executive coaching, and I'm in the business world, especially doing the consulting communication things for the automotive industry. And I position myself as cool on outside as this hardware industry, but warm inside. That's why this brought me into this program. And I may bring some different perspectives according to the applicants and the alumnus I've been talking with through this half-year learning program. They may value our position or our academic excellence by the practices. And also we have the thematic solutions so different to other programs in the markets. That's will distinguish us, of course, and also things like the seminars. I'm so looking forward to the upcoming great events happening in Shanghai. We have the seminars to showcase our academic excellence as well. For example, we have invited those practitioners from the academic experts. That is awesome to demonstrate how we can integrate and help people to grow that capability from head to heart. Yeah. So we are so balanced, so unique. That's my add-on things. Thank you so much.
Thank you. What a wonderful way to express the value of the program that you're in and how it's helping you in your career and your space as a whole human experiencing your
Do you want
career.
to open your camera for a moment?
Thank you.
Xu Hong, would you like to open your camera to let the world know what you look like? Yeah, you have said very nicely.
Okay, thank you. Let me try. I actually opened it, but my connection wasn't that good. So let me try again.
Happens to us all, doesn't it? Technology, great when it works.
Yeah. Okay, hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi.
So Anne, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I just want to share two quick thoughts. They're to half-baked thoughts. The first thought is, in the words of a really old white male with a very, very classy accent, Sir Francis Bacon, reading makes a full man, conference a ready man, and writing an exact man. What kind of support can we get, maybe from each other or from the university to, continue to support our own studies and our own conference attendance and presentation, as well as writing? We're all capable of it, but a lot of times we don't have the bandwidth. So that's something that can, I think, help us continue to be relevant and continue to be more scholar pilgrims in our own development. Another thing, I mean, what John was saying, I think a lot of time I think of academia as just a whole bunch of people living in test tubes. We're so, just segregated from the world. And as much as we call ourselves transpersonal academics, we're isolated bunch of transpersonalists. We don't really integrate much with other industry. And so I'm curious, and I would love for us to have collaborations with the real industry in all different fields, whether that is providing practicum sites for our students. We have a lot of practicum courses, whatever those practicum sites look like, those collaborations, I think it's valuable. Or if it's collaboration with, leadership in various industries to dialogue with us faculty so that we can maybe offer a little bit of insight of what we know and the questions that we ask. Because I think part of being in academia is we're a little bit discerning with the type of books we read, the type of questions we ask, and we are willing to go a little bit more in depth. And maybe people in the industry would be curious to have some dialogue with us. So we are not just, isolated and not in touch with the world. Sometimes I feel like I'm out of touch. That's it.
I love that. I love the incorporation of, having the conversation with other aspects of the world outside of our community, I guess would be the way to put it, but to bridge that gap of understanding of what is transpersonal, right? And why is it important to other, like
Yeah.
business or industry or healthcare or,
If it's
pick,
part of
pick.
our transpersonal values is to serve the community, we need to be a part of the community, and we want to invite a community to be a part of us. I would love for us to have more cooperative opportunities for our students, practicum type of courses, and also to just invite people from the industry to use us, to utilize us, use our time, use our conversations.
I love it. I'm so glad we're recording this because there's so many things that I'm gonna want to go back to. Kaifang?
Yes, I'd like to offer an anecdote from Robert Fraser when he was invited to speak, I think a couple of months ago, also to honor the 50th anniversary of ITP or Sofia. He cited an anecdote that I'm now borrowing. In the early years of ITP, he said, one day the WASC people came to inspect how you guys are doing as a new institute. And long story short, the inspector said, well, you guys, your dissertations of ITP need to really look up to those from Berkeley and Stanford. You guys have need to go a long way or have a long way to go. Sorry, my English. Anyway, you have a distance to catch. And Robert Fraser, our founder, very smartly, with wisdom, he said, do you mean you want the dissertations from ITP to be also published, to be also completed, and then put it in the basement forever? In the basement, okay? Meaning nobody's going to look at them anymore after their completion. And Robert, Dr. Fraser meant is, and I think he added, our dissertations came out of our heart, came out of the heart and the practice, and for the transformation of the writer, of the students. So what we can read, what we can interpret is Dr. Fraser meant so ITP or Sofia didn't really care too much about the so-called excellence in scholarship or academic excellence at Stanford or Berkeley have been striving for. Rather, so ITP is looking more at the transformation. That is the transformation of the mind, body, and heart, or spirit, if you wish, and the service. Now, I don't know what the inspector said afterwards. There's no follow-up. And if the inspector come again this year, Nami, to say, hey, Nami, can you show us some of your dissertations? I don't know what they will say and whether we have improving or whether we are still so insistent, so persevering that we are having a whole person education rather than stressing on the so-called academic excellence or scholarship measured mainly by publications in the mainstream journals, SSCI or peer-reviewed journals. Now, my personal stand is as many of you have agreed, we need to have a balance. Yes, we are advocating transformational education. Sophia, since 1965, 1969, transformation. But transformation to me seems to come from, as I said earlier, from knowledge or wisdom, as John argues, but also comes from practice. So theory and practice, or knowledge, wisdom, knowledge/wisdom and practice. For me, I want to distinguish them, although I advocate for a non-discriminative mind, but that is the highest level, that is the highest virtue. And coming out of a non-discriminative or non-dual state of mind, we need to wisely discriminate what the market is looking for, what APA needs to look at. If we want to be recognized by APA, what can we actually do to meet some of their needs? So I feel we are a little weak. Sophia, CIRS, and we are stressing too much, or we are stressing a bit more or a lot more on the practice, on the practice. We are kind of, to me personally, okay, through my myopia eyes, we are a little weak on the mainstream, what mainstream calls academic excellence or scholarship, measured by rational thinking, articulation, publication as a result. And now what can we do? What's the solution? If you agree, at least I think we need to strengthen this a little bit to say, yes, we are a whole person, but we are a little bit intellectually. We are very good in the heart, in compassion, in values. We're a little weak in the intellectual dimension. So what can we do as a result? I think we need to also encourage professors, as I said earlier, to do some research as a scholar. And if like in my program, the doctoral program, to me, it is just unthinkable for a professor to be hired who has never published any articles in peer-reviewed journals. I don't think that is qualified intellectually. How can we teach students to be excellent academically in scholarship, even if the professor has never written any published articles? I don't mean this is only standard. I never buy perish or publish, but I think we need to have a balance. Without that requirement or expectation in our faculty, it is unthinkable to have our students to be academically excellent in terms of intellectual pursuit. Again, that means, I don't mean, to overstress or to, put intellectual dimension on top, but it's one of the 6 dimensions: intellect, the body, the emotion, the relationship, and then the spirit or spirituality. Maybe I forgot one thing of the core values of Sophia or ITP.
Thank you. I keep hearing the word balance. How do we balance
Yes.
academic excellence and what that looks like? So I'm going to go to Adrian. I'm just going to say, we've got 5 minutes left on the clock, but I'm going to try and get to everybody. And you're welcome to stay. I'll be here as long as everybody has questions and comments.
Certainly, and I'll keep it short and sweet.
No, that's
So I mentioned that I'm the co-chair of the EIDA committee, and we've had several student employees there. For folks who can access federal work study, this is a possibility. We're always accepting new people, and the reason that I bring this up is not to counteract you as I've hung. So I apologize, the timing didn't quite work out. But in terms of practice, I think that the EIDA committee does represent an opportunity to take some of the ideas of whole person thinking, of innovation, of thinking about the kind of changes that you want to create. And there's possibility to join the committee, start a project, do something that feels meaningful. We've had many of you have met and spent time with Candida Crasso, who was one of our great student employees who launched a survey to better understand what was going on in terms of people's feeling about the climate at Sophia. And we have a wonderful student now, Zia, who is another MACP student, who has been working on things like making it known that we can change our names in Teams meetings. So for our international students, it'll be easier to put the name that you would like to be called by. For students who may be gender non-conforming in some way, it's easier to change your name in different meetings. So that information is going to be rolled out soon. We've moved our affinity meetings to Zoom so that more students can attend with the translation option. So, and those are things that Zia has really been pushing. So there are ways for students to take what they're learning and to think about that and say like, okay, this is something that I'm passionate about. Let me explore that. And it's practicing all the skills that we're laying the academic foundation for. So yeah, there are opportunities to do that in this community. I'm really excited when people take that and run with it.
Me too. That's cool information. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Lisa, you're up next. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Donna. Donna, you're up.
Okay, thank you. Real quick, to have academic excellence, you also need to have tools that help you with academic excellence. And I'm going to give my secret away now to everybody. So write this down. I put a link here. This is a program called IQ Advantage. It was developed by a Japanese company in the 80s. It's been used all over Asia. It's also used in this country, like Harvard, Yale. They all have subscriptions to it. What it is 7 minutes of exercises for your eyes that help you with your reading. And I've been doing it for 30 years. When I started, my reading was about 300 words a minute. Now I can get up to 1,500 words a minute. That's why I can complete 10 to 15 books a week very easily with these 7 minutes of exercises. You can have school subscriptions, or a personal subscription is like $9 a month, something like that. I highly recommend this because it doesn't teach you to speed read. It actually trains your eyes to read faster because it strengthens your focus, your ability to move your eyes, and your ability to read. So I put the link here for everybody to see. I highly recommend, and I'm definitive proof that this thing works, and I would never recommend it unless it did. So I really think people need to kind of check this out if you really want to get super high speed and academic excellence. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. All right, Lisa, you're up next.
So the two books that Donna suggested, one, my vendors do sell. I put the link in the chat, and I bought, and it's already live, I bought unlimited ebook access, the leadership one. So that's in the chat. The other one,
yay,
neither of my vendors sell it electronically. And to the dissertation question or the comment, I have gotten, I'd say maybe a dozen requests from other institutions for copies of Sophia students' dissertations. And I don't know if that happens at other places, and they're all different dissertations. Just wanted to share that,
cool.
that does happen. So and
we are producing academically excellent work.
And I think it's because the content is so niche-y, not niche-y, niche-y. It is so niche that people can't find that elsewhere. And so I get requests, interlibrary loan, for, I can't even make up a title, and people will ask for it. I will get, so I just wanted to make sure everyone is aware that the library does get requests for copies of dissertations.
Thanks for sharing that. That's kind of the exclamation point on the conversation. What we do does make a difference.
It does. And I have reached out to I think it was Brandy who made the comment about resources to discuss her point. So hopefully we'll have some information, we'll come for full circle about that.
And this is a perfect example of how the staff supports academic excellence within our community. Thank you. Marilyn, your hand's up.
Okay, thank you. Really quickly, this is a fantastic representation, I think, of academic excellence. We are very integral, we're multidisciplinary, and I want to say, in solidarity with Kaifeng, rigor and discernment to me are really, really important. And I think we need to advocate for that. There's no slouching it. But I also want to say that what I'm feeling here is friendship, pluralism, and a shared learning community. And I think all of those things are really important for who we are uniquely. And I just thank everybody who gave presentations. I thank everybody who's part of this community. It's just with a lot of love, and I think we do it well. So that's it. Thank you.
I love it. Love it. Thank you, Marilyn. Chris?
Hello, I'm Chris. Hopefully, yeah, I just finished work and I hopped on as soon as I could. Yeah, thank you for the discussion so far. It was interesting. I'm going to look back for sure. I have a personal project, so I'm starting the MACP program, but I saw that there's no dissertation, and the capstone project is the practicum itself. So, and I do have a personality strengths assessment that I've made. That's a more holistic whole person than existing personality tests in strengths, and but it's not like, yeah, is there a way I could make it part of like theoretically, because I'm just thinking about it for now, but uh, could I have like some kind of a project theoretically as part of the MACP that's a research project? Yeah.
So Michelle, I'm going to defer to you.
I can speak to that. It's not integrated into the curriculum yet. I'm so excited to support you in this project. So I would love to make it happen and support you in it. It might be looking toward the PhD if you're interested in that, or just individually doing a project. So I would love to, I'm looking forward to meeting you and would love to talk with you further about this. It sounds really interesting.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, maybe I might send you an email, but we'll definitely meet at the intensive. Yeah, thank you. Okay.
Yeah, feel free to reach out. Technically, the MACP, there's such rigor there for the capstone being the practical experiences. So that's where the main project is. So yes, we will talk more about how and if you would like to fit it in, and maybe if it leads to a PhD, who knows?
Does sound like a PhD project, doesn't it? Well, Chris, welcome to the community and glad to have you here. Thank you for contributing to the conversation. I would like to call on my committee mates just to add to and kind of tie out with everything we've talked about, everything you've heard here. What are some things about academic excellence that we would want to kind of pull into? Anne's done a beautiful job of making a statement here, but into a definition of academic excellence, kind of bring it back to the beginning, because we really didn't have a definition when we started this. Liz? Or Lita? Or Lisa? I'm putting you guys on the spot.
I never thought of curiosity initially, but I love how that kept coming up. And I think all research agrees that staying curious keeps your brain young. And I love that.
The learning, the continuous learning
Yes.
aspect.
Yes.
I think that's a huge part of academic excellence is going from that I'm just here to learn to like, oh, I want to learn for the rest of my life.
Yes.
Transition.
Agreed. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Lita?
So I'm gonna go with Michelle's heart and brain. I actually had never thought about education, even though I've practiced it in that way. I've never heard it spoken the way that you did, and so that kind of resonated with me because it makes sense, especially in a transpersonal setting and in this school setting that we have. You have to incorporate both in order to move forward here. And for me, it's the same in my personal life too. It kind of brought me back to the Bible for a moment, where it talks about the man is the head and the woman is the body. Many debates. I'm not going to go into that, but I've had many debates about that because, of course, as a woman, it's like, wait, hold on, who said that? But um, I've, of course, interpreted that part my way, and this is the discussion I've had with my own husband about this, and I tell him, yes, I agree. In the Bible, it does say the man is the head and the woman is the body. However, it's a collaboration. The brain, okay, and we have the heart. The woman has the heart. But guess what? You can't go anywhere without us because you're the body. You can't hold things and you can't do all this stuff. I said, but maybe that's why, quote unquote, according to the Bible, right? Because I'm not trying to persuade anybody's religion. This is my interpretation, is that is why we need both. We need the balance. And that is why in education we need the balance. So it was a good way for me to think about it differently than what I had seen it, even though I've lived it. So for you, Michelle, thank you so much for bringing that to my forefront and to adding that to my definition of academic excellence.
Thank you, Lita.
Thank you.
Liz?
Yeah, I think what Donna said about balance, that was what resonated with me because my experience, and I think a lot of the students that I've talked to at our university too, think that academic excellence is all on the student. And having this conversation and just seeing different things that we've had with the students emailing us and giving us their responses and things like that, is that a lot of them know they own a piece of it, but that it's also on the instructor and on the institution to set them up for academic excellence and some of the pivoting that we have to do for the differences in our student populations and the evolving, programs and just different areas that we're pulling different students in and how they learn, not just how, historically our students in the US learn. And I think that was something that was really drawn in and I've been seeing a little bit here and there in this conversation about.
Well, I couldn't have wrapped it up better. So thank you for saying that because I really think that Bernie, before
Thanks.
I finish.
When I think of academic excellence, there's one word that always comes to the forefront for me, and it's the act of, or the action being present. And I believe that that can be micro or macro. Right? In a classroom, you are present to the needs of your students. It's intuitive. You expand on that. And then as a university, we need to be present to what's necessary for our students, moving them out into the world and being present to what the world is bringing in. So back to Michelle, when you said internal and external, I just always think of that word of being present. That makes sense?
Absolutely. Everybody else? Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think it's an important aspect of teaching, at least I find when I'm interacting, it's that I have to really be present in order to help the student. Yali?
Hi everybody. Nice to meet you all here. And yeah, so first of all, I'd like to just thanks for this activity. Actually, the first of all, the about the questions, I think the questions this afternoon is really amazing, and it's really give us some just insights or just rethinking about, especially such as what is academic and how what should we do to help students to get their academic excellent. So I think that is quite basic concept, however need us to discuss intensively. And yeah, so for today, this afternoon's discussion, yes, I felt that just each one just they expressed their idea from their own perspectives. So that really actually enrich my understanding about the terms, and that is really is a profound reflection or resonates about the core concept, I think. So that quite good thing. And another just a thing I think I thought is about the communication. Actually, just I think everyone is have their expertisement, right? So actually we can communicate and exchange our informations and to do some intensive discussion in the future. And actually, yeah, sorry, I forgot to introduce myself to to you. Yeah, I am PhDC 采访 assistant, PhDC program chair assistant, and also I am a international student now in the United States and in transpersonal psychology, and this is the last year of my PhD study. And yeah, it's very just amazing to meet all of you here. And I think in the future, just we can do more communication about this kind of activity. Especially, I think in China, a lot of students also they have just they are eager to communicate yeah, with our peers, right? So yeah, in the future, I hope just maybe yeah, I think there will be more and more students will join us to take part in this communication. And also yeah, and also for information exchanging, I think just we mentioned the CIS, for example, maybe we can do some exchange or some just or communication with them just to have, or maybe something like psychedelic branches which have some edge just scientific. So yeah, really, there are really a lot of just amazing or the trend or fields we can explore in the future. So quite yeah, thanks very much for today's activity. It's really awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. It's so fun to hear from students and community members. It's again, we started with the question of what is academic excellence, and as a shared value throughout the community, I think we've done a great job at kind of teasing out what that really means to us here as a university. So I want to thank everybody for their time, in particular Lisa and Elizabeth and Lita for the amazing conversations and help with and ideas and coming up with the question, all of it. Thank you for today. I really appreciate it. And thank you to our panelists for all having the curiosity to come and talk about this. We really appreciate it, and everybody else for joining in.